If you spent the 90s staring at the TV from a safe distance, waiting half an hour to swim, and whispering about the pool's secret pee dye, congrats, you were raised on grade A folklore. 7 myths enter, none survive intact. Let's flick on that forbidden dome light and see what really happens. Spoiler, no tickets, no vines, just decades of collective facepalms. Turn off that dome light, it's illegal. Picture it, a moonlit interstate, smash mouth on the radio, and you, desperately hunting for your lost Game Boy cartridge in the back seat. The second you flick that tiny dome switch, Mom gasps like you just detonated a flare gun in a library. Turn it off! Cops will pull us over! Cue your sibling diving for cover as if the state troopers are parachuting in. Here's the truth, hiding under the upholstery. No US traffic statute actually bans driving with an interior light on. State police departments from Florida to Washington have gone on record saying the worst they'll do is flag you for possible impaired visibility. Translation: hey, probably not a great idea, pal. The myth dates back to the 1960s, when dash glare on cheap windshields really could feel like staring into the sun. Parents, already frazzled by "are we there yet" loops, weaponized that worry into instant silence. Fear of tickets equals blissful darkness. Local news stations still run periodic fact or fiction segments featuring bemused troopers. Their verdict? At most, you'll get a friendly suggestion to switch it off. No points on your license, no roadside cavity search. Yet an entire generation can't activate a dome bulb without guilt sweat. So next time you need to locate a rogue French fry, relax. Unless you're reenacting a rave in the back seat, Johnny Law has bigger headlights to chase. Wait 30 minutes after eating before swimming, or you'll drown. Ah, the lakeside limbo of every 90s summer camp. You inhale a PB&J, sprint toward the water, and whistle blast, the counselor orders you to sit on the splintery dock for a mythical half hour. Allegedly, if you so much as dangle a toe before the timer dings, your stomach will cramp, seize control of your limbs, and drag you to a watery grave. Medical reality is far less dramatic. Modern sports medicine reviews show that post-meal swimming might feel a bit sluggish, but it doesn't trigger killer abdominal spasms. The digestive system still hums along while your arms do freestyle. Blood flow divvies itself just fine. So where'd the stopwatch come from? Historians trace the rule back to early 1900s public health pamphlets and a 1911 Boy Scouts of America handbook, warning that violent exercise plus digestion could cause fatal exhaustion. Translation: a century ago, moms wanted 5 minutes of peace. Scouts needed discipline, and the myth stuck like sunscreen. By the 50s, Red Cross manuals echoed the caution, and by the 80s, it was cemented in parental law. Poolside adults loved it, built-in coffee break while kids sat fidgeting, convinced they could hear their intestines plotting mutiny. Today, pediatricians say, let common sense be your lifeguard. If you just demolished a chili dog buffet, maybe tread water before cannonballing. Otherwise, dive in and spare the doc a new set of butt imprints. Swallow a watermelon seed and a vine will sprout in your belly. Few playground horrors rivaled the thought of sprouting into a human chia pet. One accidental gulp of watermelon seed, the rumor went, and roots would snake through your intestines, stems burst from your ears, and sometime around math class, a pink melon would pop out of your rib cage. Terrifying and biologically impossible. The myth's roots are older than Nickelodeon slime. 19th century medical cartoons often showed careless eaters with bean seedlings growing in their stomachs, a moral lesson about chewing properly. By the 1940s, parenting magazines repeated the tale as a digestive warning, and comedians ran with it. Bill Cosby's 1969 Wonderfulness album features his father threatening him with watermelon stomach. Fast forward to 1992, Rugrats aired The Inside Story, where the babies shrink Fantastic Voyage style to rescue a swallowed seed before Chucky blossoms into produce. Cue a generation of kids staring at their torsos, waiting for leaves. Science, of course, is a buzzkill to botanical body horror. Seeds need sunlight, soil, and a gentle pH. Your stomach offers darkness, acid, and peristaltic punches. Even if a seed survived the hydrochloric bath, it would exit long before germination could start. Pediatric gastroenterologists liken the danger to swallowing a piece of corn, zero stakes beyond possible embarrassment later. So munch freely and swallow accidentally without fear. Your gut isn't a greenhouse. The only thing growing after a watermelon binge is your sugar rush, and maybe your need for the nearest bathroom. Crack your knuckles and you'll have grandma hands by 30. Snap snap. Instant adult outrage. Teachers threatened bent, gnarled digits. Grandparents sighed about arthritic claws. To 90s kids, that pop felt like rebellion and relief, yet each crack supposedly shaved a year off your joint health. Spoiler, medical journals say the only thing it really harms is the peace and quiet. Knuckle cracking noise isn't bone grinding, it's chemistry class. Your joints contain synovial fluid rich in dissolved gases. When you pull or bend a finger, the joint space widens, pressure drops, and microscopic gas bubbles collapse with a satisfying pop. Ligaments stay intact. Cartilage remains unscathed. The rumor's longevity stems from a single 1970s misconception. Early X-rays showed frequent crackers with slightly larger joint spaces, which some doctors, wrongly, equated with swelling. Headlines ran with "cracking causes damage," and parents grabbed it as the perfect deterrent. Decades later, researchers finally ran long-term studies. A 2011 review in the Journal of the American Board of Family Medicine compared habitual knuckle crackers to non-crackers and found zero difference in arthritis rates. The only documented side effect? Mild hand swelling and weaker grip in some extreme popaholics. Hardly the stuff of horror stories. Famously, California physician Donald Unger tested it on himself. He cracked the knuckles of his left hand twice daily for 50 years, left the right hand untouched, then published "No arthritis on either side." He even snagged an Ig Nobel Prize for proving your mom wrong. So crack away, just maybe not during a Zoom call unless you want virtual side-eye. Shaving turns peach fuzz into Sasquatch fur. Every budding teen heard the prophecy. Drag a razor over that wispy mustache and you'll wake up with Chewbacca's chin. Girls got the same terror tale about legs. Shave once and you'll be stubble bound for life. The myth survives barbershops and slumber parties alike, yet dermatologists have been rolling their eyes since the Cool Whip as shaving cream era. Here's what really happens. Hair shafts taper to a soft point as they grow. When you shave, the blade slices each strand straight across, leaving a blunt tip that feels prickly. As that stub pushes through skin, it can seem thicker or darker, especially against pale winter legs. But under a microscope, diameter and pigment stay exactly the same. Hormones, not Gillette, decide your follicle fate. So where did the rumor start? Blame a 1928 study in the anatomical record. A researcher shaved a handful of men's faces once and noted the regrowth appeared coarse. Newspapers skipped the nuance and printed, "Shaving makes hair grow." By the 1970s, grooming industry brochures, conveniently selling depilatories, repeated the claim, and parents adopted it as a scare tactic to delay their kids' razor debut. Modern trials, most famously a 2007 BMJ clinical review, measured regrowing leg hair after weeks of one leg shaved, one leg untouched comparison. Verdict: no change in thickness, color, or growth rate. The only guaranteed side effects are razor burn and the sudden urge to buy aloe gel. In other words, shave if you want, skip it if you don't. Your DNA, not your Bic, calls the hairy shots. Coffee will stunt your growth, sip and shrink. Saturday morning diners always had the same scene. A kid eyes mom's mug of steaming Java, only to get the standard shutdown. Put that down unless you want to stay 4'0" forever. For decades, parents treated caffeine like a reverse Miracle Grow, convinced a single gulp would freeze a preteen at hobbit height. The origin story brews in early 20th century advertising warfare. Postum, a roasted grain coffee substitute launched in 1895, ran fear-mongering newspaper ads claiming, "Coffee robs children of rosy cheeks and robust bodies." The idea stuck. By the 1980s, pediatricians echoed the caution, worried caffeine might leach calcium from growing bones. Science finally spilled the beans. A landmark 1998 Journal of Pediatrics study followed 81 adolescents for 6 years. tracking caffeine intake, diet, and bone density. Result: no association between coffee consumption and reduced growth. Calcium intake mattered, not lattes. Subsequent reviews, including a 2016 meta-analysis in Food and Chemical Toxicology, confirmed that moderate caffeine doesn't hamper height or bone mass when kids get enough dairy or fortified alternatives. What about today's caramel macchiato sipping teens? Pediatric guidelines still advise keeping daily caffeine under 100 milligrams to avoid jitters and sleep loss, but growth plates remain unaffected. Your stature is coded by genetics, not a Starbucks run. So the next time grandma warns that a sip of cold brew will turn Junior into pocket-sized Pete, you can calmly cite over a century of debunking. Just maybe opt for decaf after 4 p.m. Short nights, not short kids, are the real problem. Don't pee in the pool, it'll turn bright blue and rat you out. Every 90s kid has a vivid memory of staring at the deep end, knees knocking, convinced one rogue tinkle would unleash a neon cloud of shame visible from space. Parents, camp counselors, even the neighbor who taught swim lessons in '78 swore pools were dosed with a secret dye that bonded to urine and outed the offender in Technicolor. Some versions claim purple, others hot pink. Either way, mortification guaranteed. Spoiler: the fabled pee-detecting dye does not exist. The myth traces back to at least the 1950s, when public pool managers needed a deterrent stronger than a no urinating sign. Chemical suppliers played along, hinting they could make such a product if only health departments would approve it, knowing full well chlorine would bleach any indicator useless. By the 1980s, water treatment handbooks flat out called the dye story urban legend, but effective for behavior control. Science weighs in with practicality. Standard pool disinfectants already neutralize most bodily fluids long before a tattletale swirl could appear. In 2015, the National Swimming Pool Foundation confirmed there is no commercial reagent that reliably turns water blue on contact with urine under chlorinated conditions. Yet the fear survives. A 2019 survey found 52% of adults still believe the dye is real. Why? Because it works. Nothing keeps Junior from freestyling in the shallow end, like the threat of an instant Smurf plume. So the next time Uncle Larry winks and warns the nieces about the blue ring of doom, feel free to set the record straight, then maybe remind everyone to use the restroom anyway. Chlorine has limits. And there we have it, 7 parental truths sent straight to the urban legend graveyard. Your dome light won't get you arrested, your knuckles won't crumble, and yes, you can swim right after a PB&J without meeting Poseidon. If tonight's myth-busting sparked a memory or started an argument in your group chat, hit like, tap subscribe, and share the cringe. Next time on Cringe Capsule, we're diving into the cafeteria classics that somehow passed for food in the 2000s. Purple ketchup, anyone? Until then, keep questioning, keep laughing, and remember, just because an adult said it in 1997 doesn't make it science. Catch you in the next capsule.